Every year, during the first week of the year, my mother-in-law and step-father-in-law take their children, and now their families, on a vacation. This tradition started because both of them have children from previous marriages, and it became too difficult and chaotic to coordinate Christmas with the other parents. So, they decided to go on this vacation and celebrate Christmas there. They always choose a destination where they can go skiing or snowboarding. I, on the other hand, do not know how to ski or snowboard. I have never made a big deal out of it, and when they go out, I usually prefer to go tubing or to the spa, just to relax. In 2022, I was pregnant, so I couldn't go tubing. However, I had a 1-year-old child at the time, so I would take him out to play in the snow, go for walks, or simply spend time in our room. Last year, I had 3 children, my 2-year-old and 2 7-month-olds, and I was pretty much confined to a non-baby-proofed room with them throughout the week. It wasn't an enjoyable experience, but I did it for the sake of their tradition and for my children to see their grandparents. This year, I was also pregnant again, but this time with triplets. I told my husband that I would rather not go on the vacation this year, because I don't want to be far from the hospital in case anything happens. And I simply don't have the energy to keep up with 3 toddlers in a non-baby-proofed room. Since all I would be doing is watching the kids, I would rather do it in the comfort of our own home. My husband understood and asked if I would mind if he went alone. I told him that I would prefer if he didn't go for the whole duration of the trip, as we need time off when the babies arrive. But otherwise, I didn't mind. So, he informed his mother, and although she wasn't thrilled about it, she dropped the issue. However, when my husband arrived at the vacation destination, his mother apparently lost her composure. She started crying and ran to her room. My father-in-law explained that she had really hoped that my husband would bring the children along, because now it didn't feel like a family vacation to her. She remained visibly sad throughout the trip. My husband simply wanted to enjoy some time with his own immediate family, and if he had brought the kids, he would have been spending most of his time with them in the hotel room, instead of with the rest of the family. Then, the focus shifted towards me. Why couldn't she come and watch the kids? She's not that far along, 22 weeks pregnant. She's already watching the kids at home, so she could do it here too. My husband stood up for me, or at least he says he did. But these comments continued here and there for the rest of the week. We chose to ignore these remarks, and after the trip, they didn't bring it up again. However, they recently asked if we could come down for my husband's brother's surprise party at the end of February. This was an easy no for us, since I will be 29 weeks pregnant with triplets by that point. My husband informed his mother about our decision, and it seems like a floodgate has opened. Every so-called slight I have supposedly committed against them is being aired out. But the main issue seems to be my decision to skip the vacation and how it ruined the idea of it being a family vacation. They claim that I am purposefully keeping my husband away from them. In all honesty, they are not entirely wrong, as I could have watched the kids in the hotel room. So now I'm wondering if I am the one at fault here. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot tap. Why is everyone fine with you being stuck in a hotel room all day on previous holidays? That goes for your husband too. Is he shutting them down now? Does he have your back? Do they not care that you're pregnant and think it's fine to stress you out? Time to step back from them. Comment 2. Has it dawned on them that next year it would be 6 kids all under 4 in one non-baby-proofed room, and then the following year would be 6 kids all under 5, and so on? Unless you're going for sainthood, they have to understand this family vacation is over for you. Not the idiot. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a month since my last post, and boy do I have an update for you. Remember how I decided not to go on the family vacation because I was pregnant with triplets? Well, things have escalated since then. After my husband returned from the trip, things seemed to calm down. But then came the invitation to my brother-in-law's surprise party. We declined, and that's when the drama really kicked off. My mother-in-law started bringing up every little thing I've ever done that she didn't like. It was like she had a list and was checking it twice, but not in a Santa kind of way. Now, let's rewind a bit. Before all this, I had a pretty decent relationship with my in-laws. I mean, sure, there were hiccups here and there, like the time I suggested a different restaurant for dinner and my mother-in-law took it as a personal attack on her cooking, or the time I bought eco-friendly diapers and she thought I was implying she didn't care about the environment. Small stuff, right? But apparently, these were all just being stored away for a rainy day. Back to the present. My husband tried to smooth things over, but his mom was having none of it. She even started a group chat with the whole family where she would drop passive-aggressive comments about some people not making an effort. It was like high school all over again, but with more emojis. Then came the bombshell. My husband's sister, who had always been neutral, called me out of the blue. She said she needed to talk to me about something important. We met up at a local coffee shop, and she was visibly nervous. After some small talk, she dropped the news that would turn everything upside down. She confessed that during the family vacation, she overheard a conversation between my mother-in-law and another family member. They were discussing how they could encourage me to be more involved in family activities. And by encourage, I mean they were plotting to make my life so uncomfortable that I'd have no choice but to tag along on every family event, no matter how inconvenient or uncomfortable for me. I was shocked. I mean, who does that? It was like they were trying to bully me into submission. My sister-in-law apologized for not saying anything sooner and said she felt guilty for keeping it to herself. She had been wrestling with her conscience and finally decided I had the right to know. Armed with this new information, I confronted my husband. He was just as shocked as I was. He couldn't believe his own mother would go to such lengths. We had a long talk about boundaries and how we needed to stand our ground as a family. The next family gathering was tense, to say the least. My husband and I went together, united front, and all that. When the inevitable comments started, my husband took the lead. He calmly explained that we were a team and that our family's well-being came first. He also mentioned that we knew about the conversation that took place during the vacation. You could have heard a pin drop. My mother-in-law's face went through a series of emotions: surprise, anger, embarrassment. She tried to deny it, but my sister-in-law backed us up. It was a moment straight out of a soap opera. Now, you'd think that would be the end of it, right? But no, there's more. Just when we thought we had weathered the storm, my father-in-law, who had been quiet this whole time, spoke up. He said he had something to add. He revealed that he had known about his wife's plan all along and had tried to talk her out of it. He apologized to us for not stepping in sooner. But here's the twist. He also announced that he had been feeling disconnected from the family for a while and was considering a separation. He felt that the family dynamics were unhealthy and that he needed some space to figure things out. The room was silent. No one knew what to say. It was a lot to process. My mother-in-law was in tears, my husband was stunned, and I was just trying to keep up with all the revelations. Wife refuses to buy me a sandwich on her birthday because... oh boy, she's in for a surprise. Today is my wife's birthday. One of the things she looks forward to is collecting her free birthday food and drinks from places. For the last couple of days, the plan has been that she would go to Firehouse Subs, get a free sandwich, and also bring me one home for lunch, her idea. This morning, she suddenly asked me if it would be okay if she didn't buy me a sandwich, because it would make her free sandwich feel less special. I agreed that this would be fine, because we have plenty of other food I can eat at the house. But I couldn't help but have my feelings hurt with the thought that somehow doing something nice for me, or the fact that I also get a sandwich, makes her feel less special. I hear that this is the case, and it's her birthday, so maybe I don't need to understand. But I just can't relate. Doing something nice for her, like bringing her a sandwich, would make me feel good. Before she left, perhaps sensing that my feelings had been hurt, she tried to talk to me about it to understand why it was something that hurt my feelings. I tried to explain it to her, but she got frustrated that I was explaining the why, thoughts, over and over, and couldn't go deeper to describe the emotion and maybe where that emotion was coming from at the root. I told her I would try to process it, and maybe we could talk more later, and she left with us on good terms. But it just makes me wonder if I'm just being a big sensitive baby, or if it's normal to feel hurt by this. Update: I feel justifiably and thoroughly roasted by the internet. Long story short, she weirdly didn't want to buy a sandwich because then hers didn't feel free. I felt hurt that she didn't want to do this thing for me anymore. None of this is a big deal. It's her birthday. Let's all move on. Unfortunately, she's definitely expecting me to be able to speak to her about my emotions and core beliefs, about why I got upset at some point today. So somehow, this has become a whole thing, which kind of sucks. Update 2. Just wanted to let everyone know that Sandwichgate has not ruined our marriage. It turns out that somehow this sandwich thing was rooted in a long history of having to share a birthday or not being celebrated on her birthday. And so, for whatever reason, Her having her free sandwich without having to buy another one to bring to me made it feel more like a special treat for her birthday. Again, I can't relate, but we all have our weird things based on our past, and we are allowed to be a little unreasonable on our birthdays. All is well. It was a super minor thing in the grand scheme, maybe a bit petty on her part, but certainly not worth me being so upset about, especially on her birthday. Hopefully next time we have conflict it will be over something actually worth worrying about. Haha. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's weird as heck to me that your wife, who is presumably an adult, cares more about her free birthday sub feeling special than bringing home lunch for her partner. Like, it's very basic etiquette of being a good partner. Bring them food when you pick up food for yourself. Comment 2. Not the idiot. She turned something normal, simple, and fun into something weird, complicated, and making someone feel left out. It was the plan for lunch for both of you. The special part is that hers is free. Why does she need more than that out of a sandwich? Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around after my last post. I appreciate all the advice and perspectives you shared. It's been a week since the whole sandwich situation, and let me tell you, things took some unexpected turns. So after the whole discussion about the sandwich and her birthday, things seemed to settle down. We moved past it, or so I thought. But then, a couple of days later, I came home to find my wife sitting at the kitchen table with this look on her face that I couldn't quite read. She had something she wanted to talk about. Turns out, the sandwich incident had stirred up more than just a craving for subs. It brought up memories for her, ones that I hadn't known about before. She shared that growing up, her family often overlooked her birthday. With several siblings and tight finances, her special day was usually lumped together with others or passed by with little fanfare. This revelation hit me hard. I never knew she carried that with her all these years. We talked for hours, and I learned so much about her past struggles with feeling valued and seen. It was a lot to take in, and I felt a mix of sadness for her and guilt for not understanding sooner. But it also brought us closer, and I was determined to make things right. The next day, I decided to surprise her. I went out and got not one, but 2 sandwiches from Firehouse Subs, one for her and one for me. I wanted to show her that I could celebrate with her without taking away from her experience. When I got home, the look on her face was priceless. She was touched, and we shared a quiet lunch together, just enjoying each other's company. But the surprises weren't over. Later that week, as we were getting ready for bed, she turned to me with a serious expression. She confessed that she had been feeling distant lately, not because of the sandwich thing, but because she had been keeping something from me. My heart raced as she told me she had been considering a job offer in another state. It was an amazing opportunity for her, but she was torn about uprooting our lives. I was shocked. We had built our life here, and the thought of leaving everything behind was overwhelming. We spent the night talking about what this would mean for us, weighing the pros and cons. It was one of those deep, soul-searching conversations that you don't forget. The days that followed were a blur of emotions. We debated, we argued, we held each other, and we laughed at the absurdity of it all. It was like we were rediscovering each other, peeling back layers that had formed over years of routine and comfort. In the end, we decided that she would take the job. It was too good to pass up, and I could see the excitement in her eyes. We agreed that I would stay behind for a few months to wrap things up with my work and prepare for the move. It was a bittersweet decision. We were embarking on a new adventure, but it also meant time apart and a lot of changes. So here we are, a week later, and I'm still processing everything. My wife is making plans for her new job, and I'm getting our affairs in order. We're both excited for what's to come, but there's also a sadness in the air. We're stepping into the unknown, and while it's thrilling, it's also a little scary. I never would have thought that a simple birthday sandwich could lead to such a whirlwind of events. But life is funny that way, isn't it? One minute you're arguing over lunch, and the next, you're planning a move across the country. I bake dairy-free cakes for family and friends, but then cousin accuses me of forcing my beliefs on them. Oh boy, do they regret it later. I'm a hobby baker, not a professional. I make cakes, cupcakes and treats for family and friends of the family. I'm also lactose intolerant. I've been used to cooking and baking dairy-free for years now, and it's just become second nature to me. Due to regular baking, I often bulk buy supplies such as dairy-free butter. In all my baking, I use the dairy-free butter, and I've never really thought anything of it. So unless there's a specific flavor that's been requested, the cakes or cupcakes are essentially dairy-free. I've never hidden the fact that I use dairy-free butter, but I've also never made it a big deal either. Everyone always compliments the cakes, and I've never had someone say they noticed the cakes, icing, etc. were dairy-free. Last week, I made a chocolate cake for my cousin's birthday. We had a party, and during the party, I had a piece of cake. Another cousin noticed me eating and commented on the fact that I would end up with a bad tummy. When I explained it was dairy-free, she absolutely kicked off, claiming I was trying to force my beliefs down everyone's throat and that I should be declaring the fact it's dairy-free. Also should note, she had already eaten some cake and said it was lovely. She started getting everyone involved. Some knew I tend to do dairy-free and didn't have any issue. Others didn't know and were still okay with it, and some were annoyed about it and said if they had known, they wouldn't have had the cake. Again, no one disliked the cake in any way. I then got told from now on, I should make sure there's dairy in all the cakes, cupcakes, and treats. Which means if it's for a family event, I can't eat them. Now I'm at the point where I don't want to make anyone else any more cakes for people. There was no maliciousness on my part. I understand that years ago, dairy-free was a massive deal, and quite often the food wasn't tasty. But nowadays, things have changed. It's not actually that big a deal anymore. So am I the idiot? Should I have been telling people that most of the cakes were dairy-free? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk. It's ridiculous that they're throwing a fit over a delicious cake being dairy-free. It'd be one thing if there was something in the dairy-free butter that could be an allergen, but otherwise nope. Some people just like having something to be angry or offended about, and those people in your family/circle should not get any of your baked goods. Comment 2. Why is it such a problem for people if there's no dairy and the cake is tasty? That's so ridiculous. It's not like you put something horrendous in it. I'm shocked, not the jerk, and no, I wouldn't bake or cook for anybody in that ungrateful group of people who talk about overreacting for no good reason. Not the jerk. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been 3 months since I last posted about the whole dairy-free cake drama at my cousin's birthday party. I've got to tell you, things have been pretty wild since then. I never expected my hobby baking to cause such a stir, but here we are. After the blow-up, I took a short break from baking for family events. I needed some time to cool off and figure out how to handle the situation. But, as fate would have it, my break didn't last long. My aunt, the one who always had a soft spot for my red velvet cupcakes, was having an anniversary party. She practically begged me to bake for it, promising there would be no drama this time. I agreed, but with one condition: I would bake the way I always do, dairy-free, and I wouldn't hide it. I made a little sign that said, "Dairy-free delights," and set it next to the cake. To my surprise, the cake was a hit. People were actually more intrigued than upset. They were asking questions about dairy-free baking, and some even said they preferred it because it made them feel less heavy after indulging. But here's where it gets juicy. Remember the cousin who kicked off the whole fiasco? Well, she came to the anniversary party too. She saw the sign, rolled her eyes, and made a beeline for the cake. I watched, holding my breath, as she took a bite. And then, the most unexpected thing happened. She loved it. She even came up to me and apologized for overreacting at the last party. She admitted that she hadn't even noticed the difference until I told her. Since then, I've become the go-to baker in the family again. But now, everyone knows my treats are dairy-free, and they're totally cool with it. Some have even started requesting dairy-free options for their own events outside the family. It's like I've started a little dairy-free revolution in my corner of the world. And remember the cousin who was so upset about the dairy-free cake? We've actually grown closer. She's been dealing with some stomach issues and has started to wonder if she might be lactose intolerant too. So, she's been coming over for baking lessons, and we've been experimenting with dairy-free recipes together. It's been a blast, and I'm glad we've turned a sour moment into something sweet. But wait, there's more. At one of these family gatherings, my uncle, who's a bit of a jokester, decided to pull a prank. He swapped out the dairy-free frosting with regular frosting on a batch of cupcakes, just to see if anyone could tell the difference. Well, let's just say his plan backfired. Not only did no one notice, but he also ended up with a stomachache because he forgot he was lactose intolerant too. In the end, I've learned that sticking to my guns and being transparent about my baking choices was the best way to go. It's brought some unexpected twists and turns, but it's also brought my family closer together in some ways. And as for my baking, it's safe to say that dairy-free is here to stay in our family events. Who would have thought that a simple ingredient swap could lead to such a roller coaster of events. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.